All right, y'all. Today we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business. Gonna see if it's local or city search. Well, actually, they're both combined here. Have BSS, yes or no? So we're back here in the GBC universe. We're taking declining boudoir photographers to the number one boudoir photographer in their city, utilizing, our North Star as always is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. And this is our North Star because it explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we got our intent spectrum here in white, and we got way on the left, we got the highest intent people, the Google searchers, the social media searchers. These are people that are looking for a boudoir photo shoot in their city right now. Highest intent people, closest to the money, highest conversion rate. And over on the right, we got the lowest intent people. These are, reaching by interruption ads, Facebook, Instagram. People ain't looking for a boudoir right now. Most of them don't even know what the heck boudoir is. So that's our sister brand, FB Ad Doctor. Talk about BLCS over there, different profiles. And these are the we currently over there only work with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. But here we talk about BSS. We're going to dive into it right now. So BSS is boudoir search sameness. That's when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And when a boudoir photographer's got 0 slots, well, they're on page 2 or deeper, and that's extra bad. And that's because we know that approximately 80% of Google searches never even hit page 2. They're page 1 and done. And so this is what we care about. We care about the approximately 80% of Google searchers because they're the bulk of the market. We don't care about the remaining 20%. Let's focus on the approximately 80%. So we're on page 2 or deeper, dude. We're invisible to all of them. 1 slot on page 1 Google, also not good enough. Still basically invisible, simply because we look the same as everyone else. And if we got 1 slot on page 1 of Google, well, there's 10 slots. And as a result, it's probably going to be 9 other boudoir photographers, 1 link for each. And so, a buyer, what they're going to be doing is just, clicking, going down, clicking everyone's link, and, price shopping everyone, and basically contacting everyone, jamming down the price, jamming down the kind of what a seller can get, and it's become super, super cutthroat. So we never want to be at 0 or 1. We call that boudoir search sameness. And 0 or 1 slots on page 1 Google is not normal. Extremely common, extremely accepted, but not normal. It's actually a symptom of 2 deeper root causes. The first deeper root cause, market saturation. Someone get a new iPhone, then they throw up on Google Maps that they do boudoir photography, and they got a website that's starting to rank page 1 on, or competing to rank page 1 on Google. Or someone gets a new camera, they start posting in the mom groups that they shoot boudoir now. So this market saturation, basically everyone knows about this. A big kind of tsunami happened during COVID. People couldn't work, lost their jobs, and still need to earn money. Everyone's got a smartphone, everyone's got an awesome camera. So a lot of boudoir photographers entered the market. Makes it harder for every other boudoir photographer in that market, because it's the same sellers or more sellers for the same number of buyers. So it gets harder and harder for each seller. Now, this new one that very few people know about is the false belief of page 1 equality. That is that's the second deeper root cause for why people only have 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And that's because it's simply kind of automatically accepting or agreeing with, or maybe not even thinking about thinking if it's true or false, but kind of an auto assumption that each boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And if you're on page 1, you had your 1 slot with your website, and market gets a little bit more saturated, you get kicked down to page 2. Well, that's simply how it is. You win some, you lose some. And you kind of got to simply wait for someone to delete their boudoir photography website to actually increase, or actually hopefully move back up onto page 1. So that's a false belief, and I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google in only 10 days. So I know Google will actually give us as many page 1 slots as we want to put in the effort to acquire. Best part is, requires no Google ads, which at max will give you 1 PPC slot somewhere on the page, even if there's other available inventory open. And their momentum dies when you stop spending. So there, and you got to test and figure out all these things to get them to work, constant checking. Way too much maintenance for not enough outcome there. Next, we know that Boudoir photographer with BSS is a disappearing Boudoir photographer, because if they're on page 2 or deeper, or if they're on page 1 but one slot essentially invincible, then they disappeared from essentially like the 80% of searchers, which means the boudoir photography business itself is on the path to disappearing as well. And we don't want that to happen. So we got our micro universe here. Disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness. It's caused by market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. Thankfully, though, we now have a solution because we know that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka executed methodology. And we know that because we invented it, we've used it. We've gone from, again, 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 Google search to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 Google search in only 10 days. And it works exactly as it says, social search saturation. We're going to saturate the highest intent keywords on social search. And as a result of that, well, when we do that, it's kind of like small streams and rivers on the backside of the Andes Mountains down in South America. When we successfully have those eventually flow down into the large Amazon River. They all merge. And likewise in our scenario, all our social search saturation eventually flows down and merges onto Google page 1 Google search, those 10 organic slots. And Google will give us as many as we put in the effort to acquire. And also SQ methodology is the only thing I've seen that actually, for boudoir photographers, is able to successfully fight back against market saturation. So, maintain the business and actually still grow in spite of market saturation. So still get bigger and happen relatively quickly, get results shown up relatively quickly. The only other thing I've seen that can fight back against market saturation and still allow the business to grow in spite of market saturation is brand. Having a well-known, massive brand. Dude, that takes 5 to 10 years. We ain't got that time. SQ methodology works relatively way faster than that. And AI is taking people's jobs, taking people's opportunities. We ain't got 5 to 10 years to build a brand. With SQ methodology, if let's say there's a million boudoir photographers in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we're one of them, and everyone's got their own boudoir photography website, competing to rank page 1 Google search, then what's going to happen is we need to try a new strategy to actually outcompete everyone else. So take SQ methodology, we crank it up to the max, and let's say we take the first 300 slots on social search for all the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords, and we actually, that saturation actually flows onto Google page 1, and we actually get the first 300 slots Google to ourselves. What actually happens is it's 10 organic Google slots per page, and as a result, we got the first 30 pages all to ourselves, and the final one is page 31. That's essentially our competitors first start showing up for organic search. So boudoir buyers basically never find them. So whose business is growing when we got ultra market saturation, a million boudoir photographers? But where the first 300 slots anywhere boudoir buyer looks, obviously our business is still growing. Everyone else's business is disappearing, dying off. It's because SQ methodology is the only thing that enables that without having a brand, and it actually speeds up the process of acquiring a brand. My estimation is probably 8x faster. It's because we're seen on so many more surfaces so much more frequently. Next, once we treat with SQ methodology, we have page 1 visibility. And an initial benefit of this, and a second benefit utilizing SQ methodology, is every new slot we take, page 1 on Google, we're actually kicking competing boudoir photographers off page 1, effectively making them invisible. So that's a second benefit. That's another initial benefit of utilizing SQ methodology, is we're getting more, kicking more people off page 1. We already know approximately 80% of Google searches never even hit page 2. So we're making our competitors invisible to approximately 80% of the searchers out there. Awesome. And page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. This is where we want to hit our recommended 3 out of 10 page 1 slots on Google, because that's the GBC recommended minimum. And that's because if we got 3 slots, basically everyone else will have 1 slot, we'll look way better than them. Way higher chance buyers, click on us and don't even click on our competitors because they're like, wow, why does Google recommend this person 3 times? It's the 3rd person I've seen them now on this page. They may not even click on any of our competitors. And in the very rare case, another boudoir photographer competitor has has 2 slots, then we're still dominating them as well. We got it because we got 3. So that's why we got the GBC recommended minimum of 3. And a boudoir photographer with BSV, boudoir search visibility, is a visible boudoir photographer, a VBP. So this is our micro universe. We've got a disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness caused by the dual horns of market saturation and page 1 equality. And we now have a solution, execute methodology. We achieve page 1 visibility. We become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. Next, my results. So my results, I want to rank for the keyword BLCS boudoir. Okay, I'm going to utilize my SQ'd methodology to achieve that. And after 10 days, these are my results. So page 1, this is Google organic page 1, or the organic slots here for organic search. Slot 1, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. And slot 10, me. So in 10 days, I went from 0 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google, to 9 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google, all by purely using SQ's methodology. All right, we're here for the main event. We're going to check and see, is this boudoir photography business have BSS for its search? It's local and its city search combined in this one. I think we're in like a small town, small city. See if we hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10, page 1, Google page 1 slots. All right, so we're going to Aberdeen, North Carolina. All right, nice. Let's see. Aberdeen, Maysville. Nope, we ain't searching for that. All right, nope, nope, nope. Had that. Nope, 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 nope. Here we go. We got one. Oh, she's in North Carolina and NYC. Okay. Okay, we got 1 out of 10. All right, so we got 1 out of 10. And since we got 1 out of 10, we got BSS for this local/city search, and we also did not hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 page 1 Google slots. So if you are a disappearing boudoir photographer, meaning you've gone and done your local search and you've done your city search for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords in your city, and you see, you had BSS for one or both of them, or you're not reaching the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 Google search for one or both of them, and you've accepted that the false belief of page 1 equality is exactly that, a false belief. You understand Google actually give us as many page 1 slots on Google as we want to put in the effort to acquire. Your CNS key methodology is the only path to achieve that, and you've actually been waiting for something like this. You're like, oh my God, finally, yes. And you're liking the initial benefits, more search page 1 on Google, nice. You're liking the second initial benefit, kicking other boudoir photographers off page 1 on Google, yes, awesome as well. All these obviously increasing probability you get clients. You understand the market saturation, yeah, peeps get more gear, more boudoir photographers enter the market over time, naturally. And you're also thinking ahead, like, man, AI is taking a lot of peeps jobs right now already. And, it's going to be taking more and more peeps jobs. And you understand, last time that happened, COVID, people lost their jobs, had to earn money. Everyone's got a super powered smartphone with an awesome camera. So boudoir photography is like the easiest thing for people to enter. So, massive wave of new boudoir photographers coming in as a result of AI. And because of that, you're looking ahead being like, all right, you're realizing you actually have to not only get all these positions on page 1, you got to fortify these positions on page 1. I have so many links on page 1 that Google wants to rank on page 1 for you, but there's literally not enough slots. You got like backup links, page 2, 3, 4, 5, that you need that basically fortify your position, kind of like fortifying the levee down in Nolens, Louisiana, because the city is actually below sea level, fortifying and get it against the ocean. You realize you got to fortify your positions on Google search with so many backup links that no current boudoir photographer competitor would ever hope to rank on page 1, nor any future boudoir photographer competitor coming from AI taking their job could ever rank on page 1. And you're saying again, oh, okay, S-cube methodology is the only solution that can provide that benefit as well. And you want to achieve page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility, because you know you need these things on your journey to becoming the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. And you're also thinking ahead. Do you understand how S-cube methodology is working? We're basically building up these invisible thematic keyword columns on the back end in cyberspace, basically attached to your brand name, your business's name across all your social handles, kind of intertwined and kind of sticking out, poking out from your business. And you're understanding that every day we successfully execute S-cube methodology, we're actually increasing the probability up here for us to be recommended in AI overview in search. The most premium placement we cannot pay to get this placement with ads. This is the #1 most premium placement we want to achieve. And similarly, the other future benefit is, again, related to AI. Every day we successfully execute S-cube methodology, we're increasing the probability that Boudoir, that AI search apps start recommending us as well. ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. Every day we're kind of building up this back end keyword momentum, AI mindshare momentum for these highest intent boudoir buyer keywords in our city, increasing the probability we get recommended AI search. I remember the last time I did AI search for boudoir photographer in a city, it returned me 3. This was with ChatGPT. I actually went and manually searched that city. Dude, there's around 60 searched on Google and Facebook. And so it's like, we got to get this one of these 3 slots in AI search, or however many slots there are as possible, because AI search is increasing every single day, and standard Google search is decreasing every single day. So you're liking those, but there's those future benefits. You're also liking that kind of estimated increase probability of building a brand. A well-known brand is estimated to be approximately 8x faster, which the brand helps insulate against market saturation. And also, I'm actually got a brand and you're continuing to use S-cube methodology because you understand that my current plan is to only work with one boudoir photographer per city. So you understand you can actually kick out all your competitors from utilizing this technology, and you can get all these benefits, initial and future benefits, build a brand faster, prevent your competitors from using it, build a massive gap in like AI mindshare, backend AI keyword mindshare to be recommended for AI search and AI overviews, and build a massive gap that basically your competitors will never be able to touch or intrude upon. And that's why I've decided to be a first mover, because you know that conversely, if one of your boudoir photographer competitors would just be this in your city would sign on with me first, then what would actually happen is they would get all those benefits. You'd be kicked off page 1, maybe even kicked off page 2 as well, relegated to page 3 or deeper. You would be losing, basically building up no AI mindshare, while me and your competitor are building up massive momentum, massive AI mindshare in the back end, invisible thematic keyword columns over and over and over again, reinforcing that repetition, relevance, authority, age, increase the probability they build that up on us. And as a result, we actually, me and your competitor building up this massive gap, and you would not have access to our technology. So what you'd have to do is you'd have to recreate S-cube method, rederive it for yourself, and you would never actually be 100% confident you've derived it correctly. You would then have to execute it equally to us every single day, put in the time and effort to do that. And if you were to do that, you're simply maintaining the gap, meaning your competitor already have, way ahead of you. So you'd have to actually double or triple our output every single day to be able to start pulling back the AI keyword mindshare back towards you, away from me and your competitor. And again, you would never be 100% confident you've actually derived the methodology correctly. So probably wouldn't feel confident putting that much time into it. And then even if you did, dude, who's got 80 hours per day to be doing all this effort? So you've decided, screw that. You're going to be the first mover. Get all these benefits, initial benefits, future benefits, prevent your competitors from using this technology. So if that's you, shoot us a DM. Our DMs are currently closed. The hospital is not currently accepting new patients. So when the hospital does come to open back up to accept a new patient, shoot us a DM. We'll see if you qualify for utilizing our S cubed methodology.